I had an opportunity to go back to to have some international travel a few weeks ago with my dad, and he's my erstwhile traveling companion. It's kind of funny. I somehow end up going places with him more than anybody else, or fun places with him more than anyone else, like, say, my wife and children. Anyway, so Portugal is where we went, and as I tend to do these days, not that I travel that much anyway, I took, well, let me walk you through this. One camera and one lens. Now, just to bring you up to speed, back in 2012, when I went to Cuba, a friend of mine challenged me to bring one camera and one lens, and I did, and it was incredibly freeing for me to do it. So and I enjoyed it so much that I did it again in 2017 when I went to Russia. Won't be going there anytime soon, I don't think. And Berlin with my dad, and same thing, one camera, one lens. But things have morphed a little bit from that original. The idea still holds, the idea being that you don't get encumbered with equipment, you don't allow yourself to decide or have to decide between which lens or have a big heavy zoom or any of those kinds of things. Pardon me, you just have the one camera and one lens, a couple of SD cards, a few batteries, and you're good to go. So, but I have this over here. This is the other one camera, one lens that I brought. This is a fixed lens, 75mm Rolleiflex shooting medium format film. So technically I had two cameras and two lenses, one 23mm 35, one 75mm, about a 50. But as far as I'm concerned, it still holds because I wasn't bumbling around trying to figure out what on earth I was going to shoot with. I either was shooting with the X Pro 2 or with the Raleigh, but even though I put through 14 rolls of film, I think, with the Raleigh, it's hard to shoot with, especially when you have something like this that's so much faster. Anyway, but I also have an X Pro 3. Now in 2017, I brought the X Pro 2 to Russia and loved it, and that was great. And I had the 23 1.4, which I've switched for the 23 f2. Not entirely sure that was big picture a smart idea. The 23 f2 is not, it's a lens that I like, and I'm perfectly happy with it, but I feel the 1.4 is actually a better lens setup on this. And so, but the X Pro 3, and so what's interesting is that with the X Pro 2, I brought it to Portugal over the X Pro 3, and the reason why, well, there are a couple of reasons why. One of which is that, I don't know, the main reason why is the magnified viewfinder in the X Pro 2 with the 23mm lens. And you don't get that on the X Pro 3, and they took it away for some strange reason. I have no idea why, but I really, really like the magnified viewfinder. I like using the optical viewfinder, and I don't care about seeing the edges of the frame. I see it immediately when I take a photograph anyway in the replay in the viewfinder. So I actually prefer shooting with the X Pro 2 than I do with the X Pro 3. And I have the X Pro 3 just as a second body, but it really does not get as nearly as much use as the X Pro 2, even though this is newer and this is older. Roughly the same number of megapixels, roughly the same layout, and roughly the same kind of camera, really, more than anything. But the X Pro 2, just for whatever reason, just really was. Even aside from the viewfinder, I prefer the X Pro 2 over the X Pro 3, and that's not me being romantic. If I want to be romantic, I shoot with the Rolleiflex. No, but Portugal, let's just talk a little bit about this. As always, you go to a new place, there's lots to see. And it's I don't necessarily want to turn this into a travelogue, but I really enjoyed it. The camera performed really well. It was bright and sunny. It wasn't too hot, which was nice. It wasn't too busy, but it was still pretty busy. But I had a lot of fun. Lots of quirky little streets, lots of weird, interesting buildings, lots of tile work, lots of fun stuff to photograph. But what I did find is I found that there was a real sameness to the photos that I was taking in Portugal as there was when I was in Russia, as well as when I was in Cuba. And part of that is that, lo and behold, it's me taking the photograph, and part of that is that, I don't know, I find this interesting or I find that interesting, and so I take a photograph of it. But looking through the 2,700 photos that I took in Portugal, there's a few winners that I'm really happy with, but I think that I've kind of come not so much to the end, but I think I'm sort of bumping up against the limitation of the one camera, one lens situation, and this is something I didn't actually expect. I mean, when I was in Havana, all the photos looked amazing, and I really loved it, and and did it in Russia. But this time around, I'm thinking to myself, well, I've seen this before a couple of times, and it's kind of, I don't know if boring is quite the right word, but it's kind of boring. So I'm not exactly sure what the solution is. Part of me wants to. I would love to shoot more people, and one of the things that I really struggle with when I'm out and about is shoving my camera in people's faces and taking photographs of them, although God knows there was enough opportunity. I mean, cruise ships full of tourists in downtown Lisbon, and there's just an infinite number of opportunities to take photographs of interesting people. So that's something, and I can't help but wonder as well as, what would happen if I did this challenge with a 50mm equivalent, or with a 21mm equivalent, or something like that. I mean, what else could I do to mix things up and to continue to challenge myself? And that's sort of where I'm at. So I don't have any international travel plans coming anytime soon, but I think the next time I do this, I might just have to put something else on the camera and to see where that takes me. And I'm not really interested in taking, I mean, I could take a couple of lenses, I suppose. That is always a possibility. But sticking to the idea of just having one camera in your bag and just pulling it out and shooting with it, I think the next time around I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna go with something different, because the challenge was not to find the perfect camera lens combination. The challenge was to limit your options in order to try and be more creative and also be less annoying to your travel companions. So next time around, I think it could be the 18, which would be kind of fun. So what is that, 27mm, 28 almost millimeters. So it could, Fuji has so many lenses now. There's that 27mm pancake, which could be kind of fun too. Anyway, I'm sure you'll hear all about it when I do whatever it is that I do. But part of me wants to just shove another lens on this camera, take it out for a spin, and see what I come up with, because it's, just kind of, I don't know if it's old hat or if it's just, anyway. A new challenge is always welcome. So thanks for watching, there's lots of photos to see and lots of fun things to take photographs of, as always. And if anybody who's watching this has done this or has a similar experience, I'm all ears. What did you do? Did you find a different lens? Did you find multiple lenses? Was there something that you did to sort of reinvigorate this sort of, and I'm not asking for, how did you find your creative eye again when you lost it? But, but given the circumstances, anybody have any ideas about where I can go with this? I'd love to hear.